Welcome Home Radio Podcast. Are you looking to buy or sell your home? Our team is here with answers to guide you through the buying and selling process. We encourage you to ask questions. Please comment on this show or visit us at welcomehomeradio.net for more information. Bringing real estate, lending, and education together in one place, and to help you make the right home decision for you and your family.
Hi, and welcome to Welcome Home Radio, where real estate, lending, and learning come together. I'm Blair Thomas, and it's again your turn to ask. We are so excited. It's March 26th, so March Madness in full swing. As Tom puts it, it's madness every month, but things are going crazy here in the real estate world, and we've got your questions. How are you guys doing?
Did Blair, did you say March 26th?
Yes, I did.
Well, my March Madness is still in 25, but anyway, okay. March 26th. Oh, see how the madness takes place?
Take a Q-tip. Take a Q-tip. Hey, we got some good questions today. Again, your turn to ask. You can find it at welcomehomeradio.net, where you can submit your questions, and we'll get them on our show soon. Our first question here. Hi. I'm trying to buy my first home. I've had multiple realtors either just completely waste my time or attempt to get me into a bad deal. I see multiple houses on Facebook marketplaces that are for sale by owner. What do I need to do to buy a house for a sale by owner?
Go get a real estate license.
I was waiting for that.
For sale by owner. Are
FSBOs.
FSBOs, are these good opportunities for buyers, or are they not? I will have to say, my home I've owned now for 19 years, we bought as FSBO. And unfortunately, at that time, we knew a little bit more, I guess, in negotiating the contract, negotiating the deal. Because this seller got on to us later on. They saw us in a restaurant, and the man wasn't too happy. Evidently, we got away with something. I have no idea.
You won the negotiations, apparently.
We won the negotiations. But
Oops.
When you don't have a professional involved that knows the contract, knows how to negotiate it, what's beneficial, you're going to have issues. And this is a challenging time. I don't think anybody should go out looking to take advantage of somebody, but FSBOs, there's a reason why they're going that route. And a lot of it's ignorance. So, Tom, you teach our realtors, you help us understand what they're thinking. Well, it is about money. I mean, some people don't want to pay 3 or 6%.
Where'd you come up with that number?
Huh?
Where did you come up with that number?
Throwing out numbers. 1% is what I would pay.
Okay.
I think to answer the question first and foremost directly, yes, of course, you could find a FSBO and lock in and write a contract and get a deal together. But the challenge is there's so many different pieces of what a licensed professional does to make sure everything is handled. And here's what happens. I can tell you from the title side of things. Sometimes we receive deals that are FSBOs, the seller's representing themselves, but the buyers have an agent. That helps. They're only representing their side. That helps.
And say that slowly.
I receive contracts where, yes, a seller put his house on the market by himself for sale by owner, an agent showing properties to a buyer, then called that seller and said, hey, I've got a buyer. I'm going to show your house, right? So if they come to an agreement, you at least have one agent involved. But to make a long story short, what I want to remind everyone is if you go under contract with anyone, heck, you could write it on a cocktail napkin. But as the title entity, we represent the agreement. We do not represent buyer nor seller. So if you do not have representation, you cannot expect that your title entity is going to be able to sit there and answer all your questions. That's not what we're here for. So that's just one piece of consideration. But there is also, now with this point, I have 2 pages of a Word document bullet pointed of what a licensed representative does for you. And there is actually a lot. You don't see it, but there is a lot they're doing for you.
I agree. And like Thom said, if you want to go get your license and become that professional, know how to negotiate contracts and what they mean. What does earnest money mean? Option money mean? Title, who's paying for it? Inspection, appraisal, all of that. It makes a difference. So,
Well, and I don't know how many people I get in my real estate classes that are there because they felt like their agent did a bad job or that they didn't feel like they were represented properly. And this isn't just to sell, classes to people, but for that less than, $2,000 that you spend or less than $1,500 for just the classes can give you enough information to save you $1,500 on a deal.
amen.
Just end of story. Smart way to do this. Educate yourself with something besides the internet.
That was going to be my next point. I mean, that internet is not your favorite friend. It is not your best friend. It is not. It's what you get out of it. But the bottom line is there also is falsehoods.
I think the biggest deal to note is that if you look at a seller that's a FSBO, a for sale by owner, and you go up to them and you ask, where's your seller's disclosure statement? And they go, well, we're selling it ourselves. We don't have to just give you anything like that. They have just broken the law. And they could be subject to a treble damage lawsuit without proper disclosure. It doesn't matter if you're for selling by owner or if you're doing it with an agent right there. Right there, that could have cost them $6,000 to $10,000 to $20,000 as far as costs eventually rolled into and charging them for their lack of knowledge as a for sale by owners. So again, getting the proper background and knowledge piece is kind of the critical aspect. If you want to do this on your own and you feel like, well, I'm smart enough, I'm smarter than any of those realtors out there. If that is your circumstance where you're coming from, you must realize that there's additional liabilities you're taking on yourself. Are you willing to take that risk?
And I think if y'all would you not agree? You may feel a little frustrated. That's okay. It's a big purchase. We've all been there, but interview a couple more agents for what they can do for you. For someone who's licensed, go ahead and interview a couple more, even if it's a 20-minute phone conversation. Because in the long run, they can really, everything Thom just listed, that's just the tip of the iceberg in some ways. So just keep that in mind.
It is not a smart decision, in my opinion, to sell your home yourself or to negotiate with FSBOs because of those reasons. I mean, you're opening yourself up as well as them for litigation. A litigious society definitely wants to be back in court in a lot of ways, and a challenge.
And you don't want to, quote unquote, buy your first dream home, and then you have negative connotations because of the effort it took in the closing process, because that has happened to people.
That is true. That is true.
Or you sell it, and then you're like Blair's seller, where he's ticked off at him at the restaurant.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm proud of you, Blair.
Didn't know we did anything to him. I thought it was good, but okay. Number 2. Hi, everyone. My dad passed away with a mortgage on his house. The rate is around 2%. My brother and I are the only inheritors, and we have agreed that I will keep the house. My mom passed away, leaving us her house, no mortgage. My brother is going to keep that one. I just spoke to my dad's mortgage officer, who thinks I need to refinance. I obviously don't want to do that. And from what I've read, I should be able to assume it, or at worst, just keep paying it in his name until the refinancing appears to be a good option. Am I wrong? I'm going to talk to an estate attorney, and the mortgage officer is going to ask mortgage attorney to double check. I just really do not want to refinance. What are their options?
Well, Jeff's the go-to person on this one. Yeah, he's in there with that Cheshire cat smile, like he just ate the canaries. So
I knew what this was building up to. So We do receive requests. If I do not have a transaction that involves a title policy, I do not close it. So that's my caveat. That being said, I do refer it to attorneys sometimes. We have times where someone will just change the name on the deed, keep making the payments until the payments are done and it's all over with, right? Till the mortgage is paid off. But this being said, every mortgage has a caveat or clause in there that states if they realize you have changed title to the property, they can call your note due and payable immediately, which means you would have no choice but to sell or refinance because you changed the agreement between you and that bank. So that can be done. People do that. People have paid off mortgages and no one's ever known. The bank never knew, because what do we know? When we owed them 3 days ago. When they owe us, it might be 3 weeks from now or years. So just so if they don't see it, we've had people do that, but you have to know that that is out there. And I don't want to overstep what the rules and agreements are. And Tom, you might, or Blair one might say a little more about that, but we have had people request and make that happen.
Well, it is such a challenge to have people that are so stuck on rate, and that to do that they're willing to risk breaking the law and potentially losing that resource or asset because of that. It's interesting. And I don't
2% is a beautiful number, isn't it, gentlemen? You can't blame them for asking and looking for ways to save a 2% mortgage.
Well, and I understand, but you've got to talk to that finance company directly.
And one other thing to keep in mind, and not just for this person with this question, but for others, when your folks die, especially parents, and you've not, if you're hanging on to the house for a while or the family's not sure what you're going to do keep in mind they have an over 65 exemption often that the appraisal district will do rollback taxes if you sit there and wait 3 to 5 years to acknowledge it. They will come back with rollback taxes. So there's a few things to keep in mind if you're sitting on a loved one's home and you're not sure what you're going to do with it.
How far back can they go with that? That's a great point. And I'm not aware of how far they can go to recover more taxes.
There is a limitations, and I'm going completely blank. I know typically, though, in the 5-year range, but I do not know the exact law off the top of my head at the moment. Apologize.
I understand. Tom, anything?
No, I think you covered, what's there as far as it goes. The law of device here in Texas, and I'm not an attorney, does tend to favor the recipients of the estate. And if the recipients of the estate continue to make the payments for the estate, there's no way to foreclose on the property. So again, depending on how that title is taken and how things, because you could have a deed transfer but not record it and meet the requirements for the city, the county, the state to be able to tell them that you need to take off the 65 exemption and all those types of things, rent the property out, and as a result of it still being in the estate, the devisee, the recipients of the real estate, are protected from having that note accelerated by the acceleration clause. That is my understanding from protections that I've seen in the past with other circumstances.
Okay. And our final one, this one should be very interesting for us to talk about. Wish I could post my screenshot here, but my escrow monthly payment is $381.24, and it says escrow balance of $2386.44. My question is, once I pay off that balance, is my mortgage payment going to go down? And if not, why not? Do they open a new escrow? What is escrow for? I am a first-time homeowner, and I've only been a homeowner for a couple of months, so please excuse my lack of education. Thank you.
Where'd you get your loan? You didn't work with Blair Thomas. Uncle Blair didn't handle that loan. I can tell you that, or you'd know all those answers already. I'm just saying. Let me just put that out there for you, Blair.
Thank you for saying that, but yeah.
Gosh, how brown is our nose today? Jeez Louise. Whoa.
Well, escrows basically in a mortgage statement are your taxes and then your insurance. With FHA, VA, any governmental loan, USDA, and conventional loans that are less than 20% down must have escrows. You have to attach escrows on a monthly basis, so those are paid annually by the mortgage financer. Now, escrows balance, you're not going to be able to take off that payment if you just want to pay it in lump sum because of those mortgage requirements, depending on type of loan that you have. You know, the only option is conventional, where you have 20% equity or more, and you can pay those on your own. Therefore, it's only principal and interest. So understand, the first-time home buyer paying those annually. A lot of times annually, your escrows and your property tax, you forget about them. And thank goodness the mortgage company is going to pay them for you. You pay them on a monthly basis. They pay it on the annual when it's due. You'll get notices. You'll be aware. And your choice to drop that is once you have 20% equity and you've refinanced for the most part. I'm trying to remember, I don't consider a single mortgage that will drop it automatically. You have to refinance once you have it on there. Am I correct in that, Thom?
Once you have 20%, say it again, what happens?
Once you have a mortgage situated, there's not taking escrows out. It's not like it's
you have to request it.
You request it, and you normally have to refinance, don't you?
Well, you don't normally have to, but if you request it and you had a good history of payment and you're beyond a 2-year history of payments on the mortgage, and you can show that your loan to value is 80% or less, Fannie Mae will allow you to go in and require that. On government loans, you're absolutely correct. You'll never have an option.
Yeah. Okay.
So with that, really, I think a simple way too, I've always handled it from my small brain, is on your escrow account, that is a savings account. You're not trying to pay it off. You're adding to it. Part of your monthly payment goes into that escrow account. That's that savings account I just said. So as like Blair said, you do not have to come up with your annual taxes. You already have that in savings. You didn't have to come up with your insurance renewal. That's in that savings account, and they make those payments on your behalf. So I think for me, that's just always been the most easy way to think of the purpose of that escrow account.
But let's bring up the problem that happens so often. If you're not watching your insurance, or you're not competing or challenging your taxes and they go up, what's going to happen there? The finance company has to pay it no matter what the amount is, but then they're going to come back for you for the excess, and therefore your mortgage cost or monthly payment will go up. It's not your principal and interest of the loan. It is due to either your insurance or your taxes having gone up, them paying it, and now they're going to back collect it and get up to speed. Therefore, you have to monitor taxes and insurance on your own. And I challenge, always shop your insurance on a regular basis. But 2, don't ignore that tax statement that you get. And then it's coming up here shortly in April or May. For most counties, you get your tax assessment for that year, and you need to be challenging it. You need to say, because they broad brush a 10% increase value on your home, you can challenge that value. In fact, you can even lower it. So be aware of those things and know how to challenge them. We probably need to do a show on just challenging your taxes alone. And then reviewing your mortgage insurance. I got to tell you, insurance, who owns what? Like that main pipe of water that comes up to the house, who owns that? Because the city does it from the street. Who owns that between the house and the street? And you've got to repair that. And is your insurance covering that?
Well, I can address that because I'm looking at 4 big red cones out on my yard right now. Where the pipe becomes blue, where the sewer pipe becomes blue, that's where the city takes responsibility. Just for anybody that's going to go and climb into their sewer pipe or take a camera down.
So is that why I saw you at Home Depot with all that blue spray paint?
Gosh, I'm become too obvious.
Too obvious. Well, thank you guys for getting those questions to us. I hope we've answered every one of them. Again, welcomehomeradio.net. You can submit your questions there. And gentlemen, always a pleasure to get to see you. Happy March 26th, not 2026. They're
26.
Yeah, we didn't leap. We leaped ahead only an hour and spring forward, not a whole year.
Was that Rumpelstiltskin that fell asleep for 100 years? No. Who was that?
It was Thom. Well, guys, thank you so much for your time. I greatly appreciate it. God bless you. Wish you well in this economy. And those first-time home buyers, please shop. Please get your information straight from someone, not just the internet. Any other final statements, gentlemen?
Thank you very
Have
much.
a good one.
Take care.
St. Patrick's Day.
Welcome Home Radio production provided by Lunatic Digital. Check the listing of this podcast for the links to our sponsors. And don't forget to like, share, and follow us on social media. Visit welcomehomeradio.net for more information. This was a Lunatic Digital production. Visit lunaticdigital.com for all your digital needs.